What's going on, Warriors? It's your boy, Lionheart, and back. Feels good, man. Happy New Year. I'm doing good. I hope you guys are doing good. And we're about to get into this one. For this one, I thought, let's talk a little bit. Yeah, how things are going. And then we're going to talk about video games in 2024 and video games that came out in 2023. Maybe some movies. And see where we go from there. Yeah. So how was your 2023? Hope your 2023 was good. Mine was good. All we could do is push forward. Yeah. And hope that 2024 is going to be good. We're going to progress. And we're going to make it through that year. You know, I was thinking in 2020, one of the worst years ever that I've ever experienced. No, it is the worst year I've ever experienced in my entire life. 2021 was more of the same. It was garbage, right? I don't think it was as bad as 2020, but it was pretty bad. 2022 was better, yeah. Although I did feel like I was stuck in sand. It didn't feel like 2021, where it felt like I was stuck in quicksand. 2023 now has been an amazing year. From beginning to end, I don't feel like I've been stuck in quicksand. So I've been able to just go. Life is good in 2023. 2024, I'm going to make it even better. But it's only with hard work that we're going to be successful and we're going to make it in this life and be happy. And one of the things that I think to myself is important is to preserve is happiness. Protect your mind, your tranquility, stay focused, work hard and push forward. That's what I've been doing. And that is how I've been maintaining my happiness. I am single at the minute too. So that as well is contributing towards my tranquility of mind. And I know I'm not going to stay single for long. So I'm going to enjoy this tranquility of mind that I currently have. Now, let's get on to some video games. Yeah, I want to do the top 5 best games of 2023. Yeah, there's no point in doing the top 10 in my opinion because there were not that many good games in 2023. Yeah, we had Starfield, which looked absolutely garbage to me. It looked like a PS3 game. I think the scope was good, but it looked like a game that was created using AI. Rubbish. Resident Evil 4 was amazing. Yeah, you played through that game the first time round, godlike game. You play through that game in professional, which is the hardest difficulty. That game is by far one of the worst games I've ever played. An absolute botch in terms of game balance. The worst. It's terrible. Nothing works. The system mechanics that are in the game don't even work in the higher difficulties. Then why are they system mechanics? It's like if you have a parry in a game, but the parry only works when you play it in normal difficulty. But then when you play in the harder difficulty, the parry doesn't work because the enemy's attacks are too powerful. So if you try to parry enemies' attacks, it will just break your parry. Then why is the parry there? So that's the reason that I'm saying Resident Evil 4, amazing game when you play it through the first time in normal. When you play it in the hardest difficulty after you're like good at the game, balance is terrible. Don't really enjoy that game. But, you know, we'll go forward. Final Fantasy 16. That game, I really didn't enjoy it. That has got to be the most expensive, high-budget production game that felt like nothing to me. I have no feelings towards that game. I don't dislike the game. I don't like the game. I just feel nothing for the game. Right? And it's got nothing to do with that you're pretty much using only one character. Because if you play a game like Bayonetta, or Devil May Cry, Okami, Metal Gear Rising, any kind of game like that, you know, they can do a game where you've got only one character going through a world, and it can be amazing. This character, Clive Rossfield, has got to be the most bland, generic, ordinary, brooding main antagonist I've ever come across in my entire life. I didn't even get to know the character. I felt for the whole time I played that game, I didn't even get to know him. You play through the game, you get good story. When the story starts to get good, it ends on a cliffhanger when the story is getting good and getting to the climax, and then the game just stops. Skips 4 or 5 years. Everybody looks different. World is different. Some people are dead. Some people are alive. Some people are still unconscious or asleep from years ago. So you're on your own, and some people are not with you anymore. And then you have to push forward with the game. And everything is different. And then you're doing fetch quests and filler. And then you get story again. But then the story feels like it's cut in two. Because you get the first half of good story at the beginning of a chapter. Then you get all this filler and fetch quests. And then the second half of the story in the beginning is at the end of the chapter. So every time you start getting a little bit into it, it stops. Then you get filler. Fetch quests. Then the story continues. And then you get to a good bit. And the game stops at a cliffhanger. Skips like 8 years. And then you're back to doing fetch quests. And side quests. They're not even good. And filler. So, Final Fantasy 16. That was another game that came out. We had another game, Forspoken. Forspoken came out. I never played that game, but I looked at that game, and that was the same person that was the main character for that game. She was in the Resident Evil TV show on Netflix. And I don't know, there's something about her. She's got an arrogance about her that I don't like. And I didn't like her Resident Evil. Her character was not likable. She wasn't cool. She wasn't interesting. And yeah, from what I saw of the game, the scope was amazing, but the world just looked bland. It didn't look good at all. It looked a bit like Final Fantasy 16, to be honest with you. Massive world, but it's actually linear. And when you're going through that linear world, the linear path that's been given to you, you can't actually explore the open world that you see in front of you. And when you do try to explore it, you'll be hit by an invisible wall, a cliff that you cannot scale because there's no climb function. Yeah, so it is truly linear. But then there's no story to justify its linearity. I think I just created a word. It's not packed with story to justify it being so linear. So I feel like Forspoken is like Final Fantasy 16 that way. We had Baldur's Gate, which was amazing. That game just reminded me of Mass Effect 2. Looking at that game. Not in terms of the gameplay. I mean, in terms of the way the story, in terms of the production, in terms of you can see and you can feel the developers care about that game. Yeah, we had Wild Hearts, which was like an EA version of Monster Hunter. It looked good. That did look good from looking from, you know, the outside in, because I never played it, but it did look good, but it just wasn't for me. I looked at it and I'm not into it. I'm a Monster Hunter person, not a knockoff. And I think that game kind of like died off, right? It's just not Monster Hunter. Like, Capcom were not worried about that. I mean, to be honest with you, the funny thing is, the best game I played last year, 2023, well, yesterday, in 2023, was Monster Hunter World. Crazy that. What? Yeah, it was the best game I played last year. I restarted playing it again. What else have we got? We got Alan Wake. Yeah. I'm not too sure because I didn't play Alan Wake, right? But I heard it's a decent game. But some people are not liking it. So I don't know what that's about. I will get round to watching that game. And there was a lot of other games. There was Honkai Star Rail, which is a mobile game. I played that game. It's okay. It's a good game. I'll never spend money on that game because of the Dia situation that happened in Genshin Impact. And from that, I'm just freeloading on Honkai Star Rail and I'll never get a penny of my money, ever. Disgaea 7, amazing game, came out on the PS5 straight, which was kind of surprising because I didn't expect that game to come out so soon, a year after Disgaea 6. One Piece Odyssey, godlike game, right? It did feel like a filler game, to be honest with you, even though it was a Rabanastri arc, just redone with new characters added and remixed story. But it was a very, very good game. You know, Lies of P, Horizon Call of the Mountain. We had Dead Island 2, which was actually good. Finally, that game came out. And we had Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Spider-Man 2, which for me was the best game of last year. If we're talking like legit game that came out in 2023, not Monster Hunter, that is just the game I played last year. That was the best game I played. Miles Morales, Peter Parker, Spider-Man 2, best game, 2023. It was the best game. If Resident Evil 4 didn't drop the ball in professional difficulty, I'd say it was Resident Evil 4. But Peter Parker, Marvel, Spider-Man 2, Miles Morales, Venom, two godlike. Street Fighter 6, utter garbage. Throw that game away. Flush the game in the toilet. Put it in the bin. Whatever you want to do. Redfall, terrible rubbish. Flush that game down the toilet. Yeah. So there wasn't that many games, and that's the reason I'm saying we're going to do a top 5. There was Assassin's Creed Mirage, but you know, who cares about that? So what we'll do is we'll do a top 5. Yeah. And I would say number 5 is One Piece. One Piece Odyssey. Number 5. I will say number 4, right, is... I'm reluctant to say it, but I'll say it. Final Fantasy 16. Yeah. If Final Fantasy 16 had come out in 2019, it wouldn't be the top 10. It wouldn't even be the top 20 best games of the year. If it came out in 2020, it wouldn't have been top 10 or top 20. If it came out in 2021, it wouldn't even touch the top 15. Came out in 2022, wouldn't even be in the top 20. Final Fantasy 16 is lucky it came out in 2023. Number 5. Number 5. Number 4. Sorry. So, One Piece Odyssey is number 5. Final Fantasy 16 is number 4. We'll say Baldur's Gate 3 is the number 3 best game of 2023. And we will say that Resident Evil 4 is the second best game of 2023. And Spider-Man 2 is the best game of 2023. So Final Fantasy 16, One Piece Odyssey, number 5. Final Fantasy 16, number 4. Baldur's Gate, number 3. Resident Evil 4, number 2. And Miles Morales and Peter Parker, Marvel Spider-Man, number 2. And number 1. Yeah. And it's important that we're going to do it, that those games have come up. Yeah, that game has come up because we're going to talk about that, because we're going to talk about the gaming industry as a whole. Yeah, you know I've talked about this before, right? So you know what's coming. But let's talk about games in 2024. Yeah, because 2024 looks to be a very promising year for games. Yeah, we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming out. Mad. We got Black Myth Wukong coming out. The gameplay looks good. The graphics look good. If they nail the story, oh, I'm here for it. We got Tekken 8 coming out. To be honest with you, they only got me at the last bit, right? Because of the character Rena. Yeah. Hayachi's daughter. Hidden daughter. Yeah. They got me at the last bit. And Assassina. Okay. I'll get Tekken 8. I can afford it. I'll get it. We'll see how it goes. I don't like the drive system, the heat system, and all that type of nonsense. But we'll see. I won't get it day one. I'll see how it goes. If I see like there's like a character or characters that is dominating the game, then nah. If I see it's poorly balanced, like you see like Kazuya is just overpowered, like clearly overpowered, or Jin is just overpowered, they're just like ridiculous, or Laura is just too much, or all those characters just like there's no balance, then nah, not looking at that game. Yeah, I mean, you've got Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I'm not really interested in that game. I don't want to get involved with any live service games. So for me, that game is kind of like dead on arrival. What else is there? Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Yeah, I'm there for that game. I'm hyped about that game. It just looks like a mad, crazy story version of Monster Hunter to me. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. Dragon's Dogma 2, that's going to be super exciting. Yeah, you know I love my Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Oh, cannot wait for that. We got Persona 3 Reload. Bruh. Already, look at the titles that are coming out. And most of these games are coming out early 2024. So I'm excited about that. And there's some other games here. But, you know, those games that I mentioned, those are the most interesting games to me. I mean, there is Jujutsu Kaisen, Cursed Clash as well, that's coming out. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if I was to say like the top 5 games that I'm excited for in 2024, it's Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. It is Grand Blue Relink, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Dragon's Dogma 2, Tekken 8. We can put Tekken 8 in there. And I would say Black Myth Wukong. No. Take out Tekken 8. I will put Persona 3 Reload. Yeah, so those are the 5 games that I'm interested in. Yeah, let me know in the comment section what games you're interested in for 2024. And what did you think was your opinion? Comment section. What is your top 5 games of 2023? And then we'll have a discussion. You know, I like to read the comments. I reply to the comments. We're here. Yeah. Let's talk about movies. Yeah, movies not going to be too long. Yeah, because movies in 2023 was garbage. Yeah, movie industry imploded with the strikes. The SAG-AFTRA strikes tanked cinema, even though Barbie and Oppenheimer, right, together just made like $1 billion. Yeah, I mean, Barbie did $1 billion on its own, and Oppenheimer did close to $1 billion. Yeah, I think it did like 600 million or something like that. Or let me not say that. Let's stay true to the facts. Yeah, but it made over 500 million. Yeah, well over 500 million. Oppenheimer. Yeah. Outside of that, rubbish. Cinema rubbish. Yeah. They're losing the ability to make good movies. That's what I feel like, right? In just movies in general. Although I did like what's that movie called again? You wouldn't know. It's in my brain. Equalizer. Equalizer 3. That was for me. I loved that movie. I thought the movie was amazing. But 99% of the movies came out in 2023 were just rubbish. You put them in the bin. Yeah. And when you look at movies that are coming on streaming, I don't know if it's sustainable. Just the same thing like AAA gaming. Yeah. Where the costs, now we've got the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Now, budgets are going out of control. Yeah. When you look at the leaks from the Sony leak and the Insomniac game leak that happened, you clearly see like Spider-Man 2. That game cost, I think they said it was 300 million to make. 300 million to make that video game. They started production in 2018. 5 years development. Cost to over 300 million to make. Oh my gosh. But the game has sold about, I think they said it's sold like 6 million now. And it has to sell like about 7 million to break even. Which it will definitely do that. I have no doubt that it will sell over 7 million. Yeah, it's on the cusp of that. Yeah. But then the argument becomes, do you make games smaller? Less fluff, less filler, less fetch quests, just to make it more bloated? Or do you just stick to a story, a world, amazing gameplay, well thought of, you care about the character story that you are showing and displaying and portraying, instead of all the fluff? Because it came out that Miles Morales, that game cost, I think, how much was it? I think it cost less than 90 million to make Miles Morales. And Miles Morales sold 10 million units. And that game is smaller than Spider-Man 1. Smaller in the map is smaller, a little bit smaller. And there's not as many side quests and side activities to do in that game. That game is more thoughtful. It is more character driven. It feels more intimate. But the gameplay feels more developed, and you care more about the scenario of what happened. When you look at the characters, it really does focus more on the Tinkerer, who the Tinkerer is, Miles Morales with relationship with the Tinkerer and who the Tinkerer actually is, Genki, Raya Morales, and the events surrounding what happens in that world. And Miles Morales becoming New York's only Spider-Man for the duration of that game until Peter Parker comes back from vacation. Whereas Spider-Man 2 is spinning a lot of different plates. You got a lot of different villains. You know, you got Scorpion, you got Vulture, you got Doc Ock. You got all these characters. Whereas in Miles Morales, you really only have one villain that you're dealing with, which is the Tinkerer. So they focus everything on that, right? So it does feel, it is a shorter game, but it's quality. The game is actually quality. You don't feel like there's any fluff or any filler. And it cost 90 million to make, with a smaller staff to make that game. And it sold 10 million units. So then it just makes you think, what is the future? Because Sony is cutting jobs at Insomniac, even though Insomniac are they're the breadwinners of all the studios that Sony actually has. They're carrying the weight for 90% of the studios that Sony has, that is losing Sony money. It's crazy. So yeah, it's just like, you look at the whole development cycle of AAA games and, hey, look, the bubble was bound to burst sooner or later. I'm surprised it took this long. This bubble has been going for like, what? I don't know. 10 years? 13 years? Something like that. Like, the budgets for gaming has just been too high for too long. It's unsustainable. Where games are costing like 200 million, close to 300 million. And then you have advertisements and promotion that cost hundreds of millions. As the games require better graphics and more complexities and details, production costs are inevitably going to go up. What's next? We know what's next. Games that cost 500 million. But these games have to sell too. So yeah, I found that interesting in 2023. That gaming leak, and then we're seeing like gaming's imploding. Same thing like movies and streaming. Like, they had a model with cable. All these movie companies and studios, TV shows, everything. And they destroyed it themselves. So they could move over to streaming because they saw Netflix's model and they wanted to copy it. You already had something that worked, that you'd been built up for almost 100 years. And you gave it up. All because they didn't really want to pay the actors the money. They were tired, and they were sick and tired of giving actors, the people that do the work that people want to see, royalties, giving them checks on the back end because of the deal that they struck that was pretty much set in stone. But with streaming, they can redo the contracts. Nothing is set in stone because nothing's been signed. Now look where cinema is. That's another thing, another place that's imploding. Even look at the anime scene. It's starting to come out of how much they are brassing out animators. They're earning less than minimum wage. They're brassic, but they're working tirelessly. Some people are dying at their desks due to being overworked and severely underpaid. And let me tell you something. When rich people live longer, it's because they eat better. It's because they can afford to look after themselves. If they're ill, if something is wrong with them, then go to the doctor. They can afford the medication. You know, they can afford to put good food in their body. When you don't have money, you can't afford to take yourself to the doctor when something is wrong with you. Life expectancy goes down. You don't eat good. Microwave. Sometimes you don't eat. Diet is all over the place. Life expectancy starting to drop. So there's a difference between, that's why you see that there's a difference between animators and then they die young, middle-aged, or commit suicide. It's unfortunate. Or you see certain situations where all these executives are living very, very comfortable lives. Be it in movies, gaming, in anime. But the people that always get the rough end of the deal is the actors. Is the gaming devs. Is the animators. It's unfortunate, man. It really is a sad state of affairs. We enjoyed the games. We enjoyed the entertainment. Is what we're talking about today. But we're also talking about the industry. Yeah. And how 2023 was. And how potentially 2024 is going to go. But only time will tell. So yeah, Warriors. That was me talking about games of 2023. Movies of 2023. And 2024 games that are coming that I'm looking forward to. So if you put down your list in the comment section, yeah, I'll look at that. We can have a discussion and we'll go from there. All right, Warriors. Until my next video, take care, stay blessed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.